Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fatima Aljić-Lilić. I am 23 years old and I live in Manchester, New Hampshire. My hijab versary is March 22nd, 2023. It's about to be 1 full year. I was raised in a religious household. My mom and dad were both religious. My dad was a Sunday school teacher and a hajia. My mom and most of her family wore the hijab. We went to Umrah together as a family in 2018. As a child, I learned the surahs of the Quran. I learned to read and write Arabic, and I was always in and around the community center. In middle school, I wanted to start at the beginning of high school. In high school, I decided, no, I'll wait till college. In college, I said, maybe when I get married or when I finish my education and get my career settled. So I was always waiting for a clear start. Everything changed 3 years ago. I fell asleep one night and traveled the world in my dream. It really felt like a movie. I saw the busy intersections of Tokyo with busy people crossing the street. And then it took me to New York City, where I saw a man in a suit carrying his briefcase on the phone, talking about work, all in 3 times speed, just as you'd see it in the movies. I saw scenes of people running towards worldly things, their work, and everything else. And all of a sudden, I was brought right back here on the first floor of Abanaha, our community center. I looked out the window and I saw the sun setting on the wrong side. I stared in such shock and fear, and time stopped for me there in that dream. And I heard a voice behind me saying, "Trebala se pokriti." You should have put on the hijab. I couldn't see anyone in that dream, but I knew that that was my dad's voice. I felt so stuck. The world was about to end, and I didn't achieve the one simple thing that was asked of me. I felt like even if I do it now, will it even count? Because I'm only doing it out of fear, not out of devotion. It felt fake almost. My intentions weren't pure, and time was running out. I told a couple people about the dream, but I always excluded the hijab part. Throughout my life, dreams have always been the clear connection with God, and it was really eating me alive that I couldn't make myself make that decision. A couple months later, I had another dream. I was sitting in front of a box TV watching the news as a news reporter was reporting different natural disasters going on around the world. It seemed as though really every corner of the earth was covered in a sign of Judgment Day. The sun, floods all over, famine, fires, tornadoes, tsunamis, everything was going to hell. But the really weird part about that dream was that I was the only one freaking out about it. I was the only one connecting the dots that this might be a sign. Everyone kept on with their day, and I was stuck with the sense of fear and regret, and it was like a message only for me. A couple of months later, I had a third dream. As a teenager, my family lived on a steep hill on the west side, right above a high school. My brother in the dream and a couple of his friends were trying to ride a motorcycle up the hill, up the steep hill, and they were racing a car and that motorcycle to see which would go up faster. I was looking over them to make sure they were, safe, and we were just hanging out. But I had that feeling of worry inside me, as if something was going to happen, as if someone was going to get hurt, maybe on that motorcycle. Something just felt off. When I looked right above them to see what was going on, I saw a huge fire coming their way, just like in those movies where you would see actors running away from a huge, huge cloud of fire coming towards them. They all jumped into the car and escaped, shut the door, and went uphill. I ran from that fire, but you know how it is when you run in your dream. It's like you're running as fast as you can, but you're getting nowhere. So I fell and face planted onto the asphalt, onto my stomach, fell, and the fire overcame me. And in the dream, I said a dua or prayer, and I have no idea what that dream or what that prayer was. And that fire that overcame me was actually cold. SubhanAllah. I told this dream to a family friend who was like a second mom to me growing up. She thought about my dreams a lot, and one night at our community center, she asked me, "When will you do it?" Honestly, it wasn't the first time somebody asked, but it was so different this time. I looked at her and I told her, like, make dua for me, pray for me, make it easy for me. And she hugged me and I started bawling my eyes out. A few weeks later, I mentioned that fire dream to the imam, who can somewhat interpret dreams. And he said, something along the lines of, you're bettering your iman, but something there is still missing. And in my head, I knew exactly what that was. It was clear as day to me. I was missing the hijab. I worked in an office at the time where I had the flexibility to pray when I wanted and to wear what I want. So I started to wear it on my way to work, on my way from work, and it became a part of me to the point where I felt naked without it. Honestly, my main concern were the comments that would come from others, the expectations that came with it, and the fear of how it would affect my career and my business decisions. I honestly just wanted space to still grow my iman without judgment. So I didn't tell anyone that I was seriously thinking about it. A couple of days prior to Ramadan 2023, I had an overwhelming feeling of a weight on my shoulders. I had the desire to do it, but I was filled with fear. So the day before Ramadan 2023, I woke up, I put on the hijab, headed out to shop or to work, I can't remember. And as I was walking out of my house, I get a text from the imam's wife. She texted me and said, "I had a dream about you." She dreamed she was putting a crown on my head, just like she would a hijab. I started crying again. That was really the strength and the confirmation I needed, in the form that I needed it, and I was in disbelief. But I made this decision not to tell anyone until I was 100% sure. I went to the mall with my husband and we sat down and he said, "So, like, are you for real now?" And I said, "I think so." I mean, he was totally happy and very supportive, as he always has been. I messaged a few of my friends who I've mentioned it to earlier, and they were also super happy for me, of course. I didn't tell almost anyone else, but the word spread quickly. In the meantime, my mother-in-law also covered. So I FaceTimed my mom a few days later to show her that I bought her a gift. And she was like, So, did you cover? I heard some things. I told her, depends who's asking. And she was like, what do you mean depends who's asking? And I said, well, to some I am, and to some I'm not. In my head, I didn't want to commit to something publicly and then not be 100% with it. I wanted the freedom to grow my iman, and that would include the way I dress and what I would say and all of that. I wanted the freedom to wear turbans, and some people don't consider that being covered, which I totally understand. So I explained that to my mom, and she replied saying, like, don't be stupid. That means you made the decision to strive towards that. Who cares about what others think, what others say? So that gave me all of the strength that I needed to know 100% like I'm in this. I have all the support that I need from the people around me. So alhamdulillah, I haven't had absolutely one negative thing that has happened. In fact, I notice a lot more positive things. I think more people notice me now with the hijab, and therefore they'll open the door for me, or they'll say assalamu alaikum in public, whereas before it wouldn't be necessarily the case. Nothing has changed with my career. In fact, I feel like when I went public with my story, a lot of people supported me, and not necessarily even from the community, but Americans were supporting my decision. I do think I have inspired others to take that next step, and I hope to continue to do so. To those that are thinking of covering but are maybe scared or not sure how to take that next step, I would say talk to someone who has done it that is similar to you and explore how they felt. Look up different stories on YouTube and dismantle all those things that you are thinking in your head, because most of our fears truly aren't real. Think about why you're doing it. Are you doing it to please someone else or to have that better connection with God? Put it on. Be content with your decision and proud of yourself for making that decision, and everything will come with time. You don't have to wait for a sign, or wait until you're old, or wait until the end of times. Do it now. After making my decision, I feel like I have clarity. I feel fulfilled. And I feel grateful. Alhamdulillah.